is about. I'm a black man trying not to get caught. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw. You know it's a big world, so easy to get lost. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw.
All right, ring-a-ling-a-ling, my brothers and sisters. It is another time of being in the living room. We're excited to be here. We have a very special guest who does all of the things. So I'm going to let her introduce herself so she can let y'all know. If you don't know who she is, she's awesome. So, Angel, can you introduce yourself?
You about to find out.
What's up, guys? My name is Angel Laketa Moore, also known as That Chick Angel. I am a host, an actress, a comedian, a producer. I'm a mother of 4, a wife of 14 years. And like they said, I do it all. If it comes into my mind, I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's go on here and do it.
I mean, the ultimate multi-hyphenate up in here.
Yes, I be
all
trying.
The things.
I be trying a little bit. You know, why not?
We only got one life to live, so if you do it right the first time, you ain't got to have another one.
Right. Come on, that's what I feel as well. And I ain't getting no younger, so I'm like, girl, you either do it now or listen, you won't have to pray your kids do it, so you might as well.
You said a line that made me think about one of the worst lyrics.
The worst song.
And that is, we ain't getting no younger.
We might as well do this.
That is the worst. So romantic.
It is so... I'm telling you, it is one of the worst, but I feel like that'd be a lot of marriages. They just be like, we've been doing this.
We've been doing this for 20 years.
We've been shacking.
Come on now.
We got 4 kids. Let's just go ahead and do this.
Listen.
Yeah, might as well.
Shout out to my cousin who was a girlfriend for 19 years, but we ain't gonna talk about her.
Don't put her business out here. Don't do that.
I mean, the obituary says special friend. We go.
Now that's the worst. That is the worst. To be special friend.
To be special friend.
No, you ain't gonna do me. No, I need to be in the first paragraph. Okay.
Right in front of the limo. You know, he was baptized at 8. You know what? I don't remember. But we're not gonna sit on that. We're gonna jump straight into it. Okay. This is the last podcast of Black History Month. We've been talking about all the black things, black love, and being black culture and all the things. And we just wanted to talk about black productivity in a sense because it looks so different for us. Not people of color. Black people.
Black people. Very specific.
Yeah, because we have the tax we have to go through. We have all the things that we have to navigate. And so just jumping straight into the conversation, Angel, productivity takes a whole bunch of forms.
Yes.
And it looks different from project to project. And you got a lot of projects. You already told me.
A whole lot.
Right? Come on. Yes.
So what does productivity look like for you, specifically as a Black woman?
As a Black woman, productivity looks like to me trying to figure out when I am knowing that there's a difference, let me say it like this, between Black girl magic and working myself to death. Sometimes because, as Black women, we be killing it. We do so much and we do it well that sometimes people can make us into mythical creatures. But at the end of the day, we are humans like everyone else. Right. We just somehow make better decisions on a regular basis. However, we all need to be able to either reset, delegate, there's wear and tear. And just because I'm able to do a lot of things well, I have to sometimes realize, honey, you didn't switch over from Black girl magic to running yourself into the ground.
Right.
So I know for me as a Black woman, that's the thing that I'm constantly having to battle with. It's because I'm thinking to myself, but I'm crushing it. I'm getting so much stuff done, yada, yada, yada. But realizing they ain't not nan human being. That don't need, even the Lord rested, okay?
Listen, he took naps throughout all his stories on the boat.
All of it, yes. Jesus was like, let me just take a little snooze real quick, right? Granted, everything, turned from sugar to very quickly, but still, I know, I think that's something that I feel like a lot of Black women do battle with is because there's this expectation. It's beautiful for us to be thought of as, queens that we are. It's beautiful for people to recognize that there is something magical about us, but at the same time, it can kind of be a bit of an Achilles heel because at the end of the day, we are still blood and bones. And we do have to find times or ways to be able to offset some of the tasks that we put on our plate or are put on our plate. Sometimes people just throw it on there and we're like, I didn't ask for that.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, I think that the the standard that we kind of have. I know my mom, she did all the stuff. It's like my mom, single parent home, so she did everything, and she actually made it look really easy, like as if she just did not struggle, did not go through anything. She did it so gracefully. She didn't complain about anything, like all the stuff. She did all the stuff. But I always wondered, like, how did she like muster up the strength to do those things? So how do you muster up the strength to do all the things that you actually do?
You know what? I don't think I give myself much of an option. Like people ask me that, especially because I have 4 kids and me having the 4 boys, people are like, how are you doing all of that? I don't know of there being an option not to. Like, that's not even a part of my scope of there is an option not to perform to the best of my ability to make sure that my children are provided with what they need so that I can also be a good mom while also walking in my purpose, because I have a purpose outside of being their mom. I have a purpose outside of being a wife. And so for me, the thought of not doing it doesn't even really compute in my brain. That's of just being like, I am not going to do it. And then maybe because our counterparts that aren't Black, because they, not saying that they all do, but a lot of them have some sort of safety net that allows them to take the option of I can't do. And so saying I can't do is not this catastrophic thing where their whole family structure falls apart. They lose their homes, like, so they can say, I can't, I just need to get away and then backpack in Europe, while they figure themselves out. Like, that's not it's like, so for me, it was like, okay, I might not have things figured out, but I will figure it out as I'm doing it. I'm not going to sit here and wait till it's figured out, because I actually don't have time to do that, because still these kids need to be able to eat. Still, we got to pay this mortgage, still all these things. So the option of being like, I can't, it really doesn't compute. I really don't know how to make that work in my head. But that's, again, the dilemma I was saying before. I got to realize that at some point in time, girl, what you gonna do with yourself? Like, ain't enough vitamins in the world.
Right. And I think, like, to Brian's point, my mom did the same thing. She was she is an evangelist missionary, mother of 3 kids. She had us in church 7 days a week and working a 9 to 5 and doing all the things. And like, as you're talking, I'm trying to think about, how did the woman of God, even like, how did she pass out at some point? I mean, my dad was there, like, active and doing all the things. He also was like trying to be super dad, working 2-3 jobs and all that type of stuff too. So like, I guess that goes into even this, being a mom. How has all of that prepared you creatively? How has that added to your work or inspired your work?
That's exactly what it's done. It's inspired, and it actually fuels a lot of my creativity. There's nothing more creative than actually coming up with a whole human being. Granted, it was passive creativity. It wasn't like I was in my womb, like there's an ear, there's a something. But there is something about knowing that your DNA with someone else created something. And so for me, I feel like even when I am having to, like, I don't want to say, because I really don't ever take a maternity leave, but even when I'm having to just really focus on the mother side of me, these little creatures are constantly filling me with new ideas, just because their perspective is constantly changing, constantly expanding. So it helps me with my perspective, because I think sometimes we can get in a creative rut because it's hard for us to see what we're trying to create from a different angle.
Yeah.
Because if you, like, it's just like with a movie. If they shot a movie from all the same angle, it would be the most boring thing. That's why they have to cut to different angles, to different perspectives. So for me, when I'm not able to be around my other adult creative friends, my children are always constantly offering me different perspectives that allow me to open up like a different part of my creativity, which is a blessing, because sometimes, I mean, creative energy is a whole piece of energy. And sometimes, like, if I'm giving them all of this love and energy at home, I don't have the time to be like, now give 100% to creating something. But luckily, what they're giving me is something that I can bounce off of. So it's not like I'm starting from scratch. I'm like, oh, this so like this baby that just interrupted our interview before we started. My son. What made him happy was I gave him my lip gloss. That's like, and that automatically fills me with ideas of the random things that will make a child not yell and scream at you. Lip gloss is one of them for some reason.
It's one of the things.
It's one of the things. That to me is a whole sketch, like, of the random things that I've given my son. Flashlights, just random staplers. Anything to get him away from me is what I'm willing to give him. So I do feel like they feed my creativity.
Yeah, my daughter doesn't really feed my creativity. She just licks stuff. Like, she just wants to lick everything. And it bothers me.
But that should feed it, because you know what? Even the fact that it bothers you, that should be like, what other things do kids do that bother you? You know what I'm saying?
There's a list.
So many. Also, what do things taste like that aren't food? Like, that would be my question. What do things taste like that aren't food?
What that wall taste like?
What it tastes like? Right. If you could compare it to something, what would it be?
Is it fried chicken? Is it rice and beans?
Right.
I want to know.
Like, why? Like, we just look at stuff. I'm like, okay, all right. God bless you.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, but it is what life. But I think the interesting thing is and you kind of said that you do things, you work and all that kind of stuff. And one thing my wife and I have been kind of talking about, we got a newborn. Well, she's not newborn. She's 16 months, so she's not new. But one thing my wife has also been talking about.
Parent. She won, Brian.
She is one. One thing my wife always talks about.
A whole 1 year old.
A whole one. One thing my wife always talks about as far as being a professional person is mom guilt. Like the, working hard, but then feeling like she's missing out on life. She actually has to go to the office every day, and I work from home. And for like the first year and some change, she's a year. The first year of my daughter's life, I was there every single day, taking pictures, having fun, bonding, and all that kind of stuff. And my wife was just furious. She was jealous. She hated it. So I enjoyed it because it was, my daughter loves me. So, I throw that in my wife's face all the time. But neither here nor there. I digress. So do you ever deal with mom guilt and feeling like, like I'm missing out on things or my kids aren't getting me?
You know what? I'm assuming, is your wife a Black woman?
She is.
Why are you saying like a question mark? Like, I think so. She's kind of.
Hey,
she's kind of brown.
She kind of black.
We took the test recently. The what is it? The 23andMe or Ancestry. So her numbers were a little close.
The reason I asked that is because there are very few Black women I know that experience mom guilt. Her situation, I do feel like I can understand. To be honest, I used to be like, what is that? What is that? Like, you're going to get whatever I got to give and you're going to be okay with it. Like, right. I'm not even worried about it. I will say here recently, because of the pandemic and because Los Angeles is closed, and being that my kids are at home all the time, now when I leave for work all day, especially when I have heavy shooting weeks, I do feel like I am dropping the ball a lot more often, where before they were in school. So it wasn't as if I was going to be able to do anything with them. It was just like, y'all go to school. If I'm shooting, y'all ain't missing me. Y'all in school. Right. And then when we get out, we'll reconvene and be a little family. But now that they're home all day and I leave, so they'll be with the nanny. If I have a long shoot day, they'll be with the nanny for like 10 hours. But do I feel guilty? I don't know if that's the word that I want to use for it. Because it's not that I'm just like, oh, no, you're not getting enough time with me. They get enough time with me. That I'm for sure. But I do notice what I'm letting slip through the cracks. Like, I'm the one that's usually responsible for helping the twins with their homework, because I'm actually probably the only one in the house that knows how to log in and get to their homework. So I look up and I realize, oh, y'all 2 weeks behind. I haven't helped y'all with y'all homework in 2 weeks. Y'all haven't turned in anything. Right. Oh man. Yeah. So a little part of me was like, okay, Angel, now you got to figure out how to do better because the teacher needs to know that your kids ain't stupid. And so we got to figure out something. So it wasn't so much, it's not that I felt guilty, but it was like a check-in of, okay, currently this isn't working. So you just got to find something else to make this work. It might not be me doing it. It might be me like giving it off to my husband and showing him how to log in or asking the nanny on the weeks that I know it's going to be crazy if she can find time to work with them on their homework. But that was probably literally the closest to guilt I think I've felt because I was just oh, y'all ain't done nothing. But typically I truly feel like while I'm not trying to traumatize my kids and I want them to have a good life, I've learned to give myself grace and be like, listen,
it's important.
Right, exactly. I can't be everything and nor will I be perfect. Like if that's what I'm striving for, then I'm gonna stress myself out. So I think with me going into motherhood, and the fact of the matter is I actually do be trying to be a great mom, but I also know that I'm not going to be perfect. I mean, I do like the stuff that I be finding to sign them up for. Like I typically know all their teachers' names. I be knowing their friends' names. I'm having conversations with them, like truly, especially with me having twins, getting to know their personalities individually. Yeah. So I know I'm not out here sucking balls. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not out here trash. So that definitely keeps me from feeling like heavy mom guilt and understanding that everybody needs grace. So I'm going to give myself the same grace that I would give someone else that's a mother.
Right. Listen, that's so good because I think my wife even deals with it. And I think I was the one that was like, guilt. Guilt. Girl,
what is that?
What is that? We all alive. We all made it to the end of the day.
Right.
That's the blessing.
That is, let me tell you, that is my barometer. I used to do speak engagements to moms about self-love, right? It was a mom conference that I used to tour with. And that was my thing of like, at the end of the day, you should know you are a good mom if your kids are alive-ish. And it only have to be, it can be ish, okay? Because sometimes things happen and ain't nobody got a reason to call the people on you to come get your kids. If those two things are happening, you doing all right.
You doing the thing.
You doing it. Everything else is like bonus points. Like I don't get where this whole extremely high standard, because what I realize is everybody is dealt a different like set of cards. Like we're not, like we don't come into this world getting to pre-pick our status, our economic situation. We don't get to pre-pick our parents. So we come into this world already with a deck in our hand or a hand of cards. And some of us be having some low 3s and 4s and whatnot. And so like, I would never hold that person to the standard of somebody who's got the big joke and little joke. And sometimes people with the big joke, little joke will be the ones that you got to call the people on. You just trying to jack up your kids. You trying to be a butthole.
Right.
So let's pause for the calls here real quick. There were 2 Black multi-hyphenate moms, right, that we saw. And we're going to do a real quick this or that. Okay. So Claire Huxtable. Or the original Aunt Viv?
Oh, for me, gosh, this is such a hard one.
Because new Aunt Baby didn't do nothing.
I know she didn't. She was a stay-at-home mom.
She was just
with her look. Yeah, she was just like, I'm here to take care of Nikki, and then I'm gonna shuffle off. Let me see here. Ooh, that's a hard one. At first I was about to be like the first Aunt Viv. That's what I was going to say, just because of her fierceness inside of her own profession, and then there was just so much about her, like putting things in check. Right. Everybody remembers her dancing, so you also got
infamous scene.
Okay, you got all that, right? You got like, so she wasn't this just one dimensional of I am only a woman that is pristine. I am also, I was a creature before becoming a mother, before becoming this high powered. What was her career? I can't even remember.
She was a English professor, I believe.
Oh, no.
Claire was an attorney.
Yeah. Aunt Viv was a professor.
She was a professor. And then Claire Huxtable. I'm going to have to go with Claire Huxtable. Even though Aunt Viv is where my heart went first. Let me tell you why I went with Claire Huxtable and why I relate to her more. She had 1 million children. Is what I'm feeling.
She did.
She had so many kids. You got Sandra, you got Denise, you got Theo, you got what's the one right before Rudy? No, Lisa Bonet's character. What was her name?
That was Denise.
Okay, Vanessa.
The one who had big fun.
Yes,
she wouldn't have had big
in
fun.
Delaware.
Big fun.
Favorite episode.
And then you got Rudy. Okay. And you see this woman who's had all these kids, yet still was a businesswoman, yet still was looking flawless, okay? And felt comfortable letting people know who dealt with her the wrong way of who she is, not only in her family, but in her career and also in her marriage. So I'm going to have to go. And then she also has some pizzazz. Believe you me, she was still out there singing and dancing and doing all the things on the Cosby Show as well. So it's going to have to be Claire Huxtable. That was a hard one, though. Whew.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean with Claire too. I mean, because first of all, we stand some Felicia Rashad.
We do
here on the friend of the pod. If you're listening, friend of the podcast.
We know she's listening.
Of course, she's a friend of the podcast.
We know she's listening.
Of course,
of course she's listening.
Uh-huh.
But I just think she balanced, like you said, all of the things. She was still very rooted. She had, like you said, a whole all-star Olympic team of kids over there.
Yes,
she dealt with Heathcliff. She had her own high-powered, high-demanding job. And the way she had to get, you said putting people in check, the way she had to deal with Elvin.
Oh my gosh.
All of the time.
Read.
That was a task.
Oh my goodness. I mean, and she did it with grace. I don't have that grace. I be checking folk, but I'll be coming out of all types of character. And I'll be like, you know what? You are too old for this, Angel. You got to pull it together just a little bit. But yeah, she used to keep Elvin just like, what you're not going to do. I will get my husband coffee because he got it from me. Yeah, come on.
If I want to, and then ask them, would you like a cup of coffee?
Yes, and
that's what people do.
A cup of coffee. Okay, my favorite episode was when it was Theo wanted to live on his own, and so they set up this whole situation, and she was like, she was over the fake furniture store, and she was like, "Welcome to Menace Furniture City, where money talks and nobody walks. If you like it, you touch it, you break it, you buy it. If you don't see it, we don't have it, but we will get it. Now, what can I do for you?" I said,
Know the lines. Know the lines.
It was my favorite. It was my favorite. My favorite. Yes. But yeah, Felicia Rashad, she's just, as a woman, outside of being Claire Huxtable, she also being multi-hyphenate, being a director, being an actress, she used to be a dancer, a singer. She's just an amazing talent that I feel so lucky to be a part of a generation that got to see all the things that she's done and not have to read about it in history books years down the line.
Do you ever feel any of the ways that men don't have that same pressure?
Yes, but I don't want to make it a generalized yes.
Yeah, okay.
So what I mean by that is what we see in typical households is that men are given a freedom to go about their job and their careers without the stress of figuring out the mechanics of how and where the kids need to go, need to be.
Yeah.
Like all those things. And I'm not saying that happens in every household, but I feel like that seems to be the typical move about. While there are a lot of men that get to be the stay-at-home dad, that get to be the parent that's at the household more, I feel like it's typically the other way around, so that when a woman is deciding they either want to re-enter the workforce after taking whatever leave they have, there's that, like, I feel like and I'm not saying it's the pressure that's necessarily external. It could be internal, of trying to make the child's transitions throughout the day as smooth as possible, that a guy might not, if he hasn't even experienced it, even be thinking about. Like even in my own household, I just career-wise have way more flexibility than my husband. He works out of the house 5 days a week. And while even when I'm outside of the house working, I am still tapped into the household. He is not. So that's because that's just, he's been out of the house this entire time. I'll be flowing back and forth. However, there have been a couple of times where I've had to be like, I need some moments where I'm not the one figuring out like, okay, the nanny is not available today. Who can fill in? Like it shouldn't just be my brain having to figure this out. But it's part, I'll take part ownership of the fact that I wasn't giving him that, or making it so he knew that load was needed for him to take, or even know that it was a load. Because I think, like one of you all mentioned before, sometimes I can make it look easy, so it doesn't seem like a load. Just like if he's outside cutting the grass, if he's making it look easy, I don't necessarily always think like, oh, let me help you with that. I'm just like, you go ahead and do it.
Want some water?
Right, exactly. At most, okay? At most, that's what I would offer. So I do feel as though in a lot of ways, there is a pressure and a stress that women have both internally and externally to, I don't know, have to figure out how to juggle it, where men just be out of the house working, and their main focus is keeping whatever revenue they have coming in stable, as well as possibly making more revenue, where it's not so much making sure that the kids are getting about their day in a smooth way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, because it's, you kind of mentioned or alluded to like the juggling of it all, like the juggling act, being productive, but then also wearing these different hats. So then you got to kind of figure out like, how does that time like line itself up? How do I manage my time to where I make sure things aren't falling, things aren't falling off the table? And as a partnership, you know, that's time management is like the biggest thing, is trying to make sure who has what time, you know, because if somebody's flexible, somebody's not flexible during this time and all that kind of stuff. So what does your time management look like? What does that look like to you?
Oh my God. So the way my time management works is that after I started getting really busy, I was like, okay, I have to hire someone to take some of the things that I don't feel are necessarily have to be done by me. And not just on my family side, but also my business side.
Right.
I say that I am a boss mom, right? That's one of the things I say. I'm a CEO mom. Well, if that's the case, I shouldn't be doing a bunch of administration stuff.
Yes.
Come on, that's a word.
That's a word.
Repeat that one, Angel.
Listen, if I'm a boss mom, then I should not be doing a bunch of administration stuff. Like, if it's just not, like, I understand we go through our seasons, and at one point in time, it was necessary for me to be the boss, the administrator, the receptionist, the bookkeeper, the data entry clerk. At one point in time, that was definitely necessary. But if I'm expecting myself to have growth, I have to realize that I do have to scale up, and not just in my business, but also with my family. So while my kids are very important to me, there are certain things that I am not going to leave myself on the hook for having to do every single day for them. It's just not, I don't have to be the one to go to the grocery store. I can Instacart that. That's not something that my children are going to be like, my mother never went to the grocery store for us to get Cheerios.
My mama drug us to the grocery store.
Right.
And made us pull out pen and pad to add up the totals, because she was like, we ain't going over $115.
Oh, well, we're not about to do. We got a budget.
We got a budget.
Yes. So like doing, like I eventually, because that was a piece of time. That was a part of my time management. It was like, okay, you can either spend 2 hours Go drive to the grocery store, go walk through, trying to put together meal plans in your head and figuring out whatever, calling the house, being like, hey, do we have this? Because I need this. Or you can sit behind a computer for 15 minutes, pay, an extra $25, $30 and have somebody who could use the money go do the grocery shopping and bring it to your house. I finally got my husband to agree this year. Lord help me, Father God. No, it was at the end of last year. We finally got a cleaning service to come because I was just like, one, I'm not good at cleaning. That was never my ministry. Okay, that's not the gifts. I was never
the thing.
Okay, let's be honest. That's not what the Lord gave me. He gave me a nice personality. I pray for people. I'm funny, but when it got to that neatness, he said, "Oh, my daughter don't need that." So, that was taking up time and I was poorly executing it. And the fact of the matter is, I would be telling my husband, I spent 3 hours trying to clean this house. And you see what it still looked like. It still looked like this.
It does.
I could have been spending 3 hours making money. But then look at what I had to do instead. Spend 3 hours and the house still look a mess. So delegating that to having cleaning people come a couple of times a month. And so for me, it became a thing of, are these things that I feel like are going to make or break how I am as a mother? No. And then the same thing on the business side. I finally got an assistant that is able to help me. Like even when it came to scheduling this, it's not the putting it in my schedule. It's the, okay, you need to read the email. Then you got to have time to vet and make sure, because luckily y'all are sane people, but not everybody. I sometimes get people that ain't sane wanting to take my time. Okay. I now have somebody who can vet the folk and make sure this is something that'll be mutually beneficial, like that our audience it works well, that I can actually speak to the thing that they would like for me to talk about. Right. Where that would get emails would just pile on top of each other before, because if I'm over here busy shooting content, editing content, getting stuff to brands that are hiring me to do videos for them, trying to do things like this, I wouldn't have time to do because I simply missed the email. It'd be that I simply missed the email. So for me, time management came to a point of knowing what I could outsource and what I needed to keep. So I said anything that me as the executive needs to be doing is the priority on my plate. And anything that's not an executive function, I'm going to see if I can outsource. I can't outsource everything because we ain't balling like that yet. Yeah. But the things that I can outsource allows me to manage my time so that, one, I do get more time with my family that's actual quality time. And then two, my energy is being used towards things that I need to be the person to do. I need to be the person to come up with a joke. I need to be the person that comes up with a fresh perspective. Nobody else can do that, but somebody else can edit my podcast. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else can do the graphic design for a thumbnail for me. So those are the things that have helped me in my productivity and my time management. Is just starting to really operate more like a boss instead of like a one woman show.
So with all of that, how do you implement self-care and rest? Like, are you scheduling the busted wide open sessions with the husband? Or like are you just, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it on the calendar? What is it? How does self-care and rest go into all of that?
Okay. So there's a lot of things that I have to do. Like wave children away, right? When I'm doing interviews. No, luckily my husband is very much so aware of how much work I do. Beautiful. And he's aware that this is not easy. Like, he sees how much I'm like juggling in the air. So my self-care is also important to him. So usually Thursdays are my lighter days, and I try not to schedule too many things on Thursdays. So that's usually when I have like very random, and my kids are home, because I don't believe that my self-care has to be sans my children. I mean, sometimes I like it to be without them, because sometimes they be tugging on me, pulling on me, asking me 50 million questions, and I'm just like, But I do take those days just to do, I don't care if it's something simple, like I'm going to take a bath instead of a shower. Or I'm going to put a face mask on while I watch a rerun of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like it could be something just trivial, but it's something that I feel like is not requiring my energy to be creative with, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to my husband and our like intimacy, that's something that we have to like. It is definitely a thing that we have to be intentional about, because that is something that can easily, especially having 4 kids. You got kids that, as you see, I've been sitting in this interview. Another child came in here, and I know they know what it means for my door to be closed. They just don't care.
They don't care about any of the things,
right? So that's the same thing goes with our intimacy. They have to be extremely engrossed in something else in order for their attention not to all of a sudden be drawn to me. So that easily can make it just like, why are we even trying? They're going to interrupt 2 minutes in, yada, yada, yada. So it does have to be something that we are intentional about, because we're not 20 something years old anymore. We have a lot more kids. So it's not as easy to kind of fall into we weren't even expecting it. No. That don't happen no more.
Yeah, right.
No. We have to be like, so you down? I'm down. Okay, we'll turn on Coco Melon, give them some snacks.
Coco Melon.
Right.
That's it. Coco Melon.
It is. So yeah, that one though is something that, because he be stressed out. That is something that I know is a ever evolving conversation between us, because it is important to us, but sometimes it isn't the priority. So we have to like recheck in back with each other.
So we're finna give it a wrap up, but before we do, we've been playing This or That, the Black culture version.
Okay.
So we want to end the conversation on that.
All right.
Brian, I think you got some stuff. You got some. Hopefully, there's some good ones.
I do have some good. I'm gonna start off
some
easy.
good ones.
I'm gonna start off easy.
Okay.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac.
Easy. Wonderful.
Easy.
Any explanation or just,
You know what? Biggie, I wasn't, one, I was a church girl. So even when they were out, it wasn't like I was like really listening to either of them. But there was something, I'm going to be honest, this sounds terrible. There was something about Biggie's voice that I just did not like to hear. It was something about that it was the breathing. It was the big tongue. I just was like, I can't give this man an inhaler. And there was something poetic that I really enjoyed about Tupac.
Yes.
That I did. Even though like he became a West Coast rapper, even though he was from the East Coast and from Baltimore, which I was just like, how's that? But I think that's the only reason, because I'm also not a huge fan of West Coast rap either, but I liked him a lot. A whole lot. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, because Biggie was putting lyrical douches in bushes. So
yes. He was lyrical douches and bushes.
He was fat and ugly, however, it was what it was. All right, that was a good one. I love that one. That's a good answer. Okay, so we got a Will Smith movie marathon or a Denzel Washington movie marathon.
Will Smith. Now listen, I know I get a lot of slack because we did Unpopular Opinion on Kev On Stage.
I unfollowed you for that.
And
we saw it.
We saw it.
Let me clarify. Okay. I do think Denzel is one of the best male actors out there. I just don't think he is the very best. And I think people put him at number 1. And I'll be like, I don't know he won. I don't think he won. Maybe 5, but not to 1. And 5 is still amazing to me. You're still on one of the pedestals at the Olympics. You're still there.
Right.
Okay. But Will Smith, I feel like, has way more variety in his on his resume. If you look at his IMDb, you're gonna get serious into hysterical comedy.
Yeah.
And I'm an action and comedy type of chick. And he's got plenty of those where Denzel has a lot of actions, very few comedies. That might just not be his judge. You know, like I would prefer doing a comedy acting wise than I would a drama. So he might just have, not that I'm not saying Denzel can't do comedies. I'm sure he could kill them. He probably just enjoys meatier characters that have like really deep storylines and psychosis and stuff. And sometimes I just want to hear Bad Boys for Life. Okay. That's, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Right. And can we speak of black actors? And I don't know if he's black, but I think he's black. Giancarlo Esposito doesn't get the respect.
Ridiculous.
He doesn't get the respect. He doesn't. And see,
yes,
and that's somebody that I would want to put up there above Denzel. Is all I'm saying. Just because this man transforms.
He does.
See, I can respect that. I respect that.
And that's what I don't think people were understanding what I was saying. They just thought I was trashing Denzel. And I was like, but y'all be forgetting about these folk. Y'all be forgetting about these folk that be killing it. And y'all don't even, they be so different that you forget it's the same face. But they be so different acting, you don't even remember it's the same person. It's just, I'm sorry. I said what I said. I stand by it.
I get it. It's okay. I understood. I understood the argument, but I had to, I didn't cancel you. I just put you on hiatus for a little bit.
Man.
We're going to cancel you. I think we got one last hard one for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's easy for me.
Hard. All right.
But it might
so
be
would you rather... Okay. Would you rather allow Tyler Perry's team to do your hair and makeup or listen to If I Ever Fall in Love on repeat?
Oh, Tyler Perry. I'm going to let them go. I'm going to let them go ham. Give me all the wigs. Give me the lace. Give me the lace front that comes down to my eyebrows. I don't care. You
don't want the
I do it. I will exit. Y'all gonna be like, where Angel go? I'm about to mute. Where's the mute? Turn you down. I can't even hear y'all no more. I turned y'all down. Oh my gosh. That song. I still didn't even hear Kevin's rendition. I said, I will not. I won't.
I mean, you hate that song because Tyler Perry don't care about none of them wigs.
Oh, no. Tyler is like, if y'all came to see the wigs, then y'all done missed the whole point. So he's like, you going to see this cat sitting on top of my head, a poodle sitting on her head. He does not care. What you need to care about is that old girl is sleeping with her mama's best friend and don't nobody know that he killed their grandmother. That's what he's like, you need to be focused on.
We need to be caring about how Taraji got on the boat. We need to still figure that part out.
That's what you got to figure out. How did that happen?
How did it happen?
So, but I'm telling you, young black boys made me hate that song in middle school. They made me hate it to the point that I can't stand to hear it. So many black boys thought that they were R&B singers because of that song, and I was just
you weren't caught up.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how many talent shows were written with that song. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Terrible.
That's hilarious.
Oh God. It was a good time to be alive,
one. It wasn't for me.
Oh man. Okay. This is a wonderful conversation. And I'm kind of sad we got to end.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I've had a good time.
Kind of sad.
It was a great time.
So tell the people what you got coming up.
We definitely appreciate you coming into the living room.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, tell the people what you got coming up.
So what do I have coming up?
Yep.
I have, I'm coming back. I do believe so. That's what they told me. I'm coming back to Netflix's Atypical. As always, I host Here's the Thing podcast with Kev On Stage that drops every Wednesday. As well as I have another podcast that drops every Wednesday with my husband called Is This Going to Cause an Argument? I host so many podcasts. I also host Rose Pricks for those people who like The Bachelor and cringe when they watch it. We roast the entire series. And then I have a show for moms called Mommy Confessions, which is a podcast that drops on Thursdays. I have 2 new shows coming out on the Kev On Stage Studios app. One is called Ask on Angel. It's a call-in podcast. It's an advice podcast.
Oh, sweet.
So you're getting the advice that you've always wanted.
Nice.
Okay. Whether it be legal We don't know, but it's the advice you want somebody to tell you. Okay. As well as crafting cocktails where I have fun with my friends. We get a little twisted on a
shout
nice
out to my red cup tonight.
Listen, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. We get a little toasty, and then we make very difficult crafts that I probably couldn't make even if I was fully sober when we were doing it. And then last but not least, I have my Black Mom subscription box called Mama Likes that will be dropping its spring box in about a month. So people can find out more about that at shopmamalikes.com.
All right, good people. So, you got a list of the things. I mean, Strong Black
All
Lead, a myriad of podcasts, a subscription box.
All
you can get tipsy on the weekend and subscribe to the Kev On Stage Studios app.
Absolutely.
All the things.
Your own password. Don't share the password.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, don't share the password. We're not doing the Netflix and Hulu thing.
No.
With this one.
Everybody, you get your own account. Your mama needs her own account. You need your own account.
Right.
Listen, Carter G. Wilson didn't die for us to do that to Kev. So we doing that. So no, but thank you for being in the living room. We super, super duper appreciate it. This has been amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself.